Hi, this is Pearl Grey Knits. I'm Ellie, and today I am talking about my Q2 wrap up and Q3 goals for my stash busting. I got super ahead of myself here. I don't know why I said Q2 wrap up and Q3 goals, because it is Q1 wrap up, Q2 goals. I don't know what to tell you. I was just really excited. So this is hopefully going to be a kind of short video, just sort of briefly wrapping up my progress so far in the year and talking about a couple of things I want to do over the next 3 months. I am trying to keep this light and as unstressful as possible. So I haven't gone too crazy with my goals. But let's jump in and talk about where I was at the start of the year and where I am sitting now. So at the start of January, I was sitting at 17,736 grams of yarn, which works out to be 344.72 50-gram skeins. I decided that I wanted to drop my stash down to 297 balls, which would be 14,850 grams. I decided to do this because the very first time I counted my stash in September of 2024, my total was 298. So I wanted to beat that by 1, and that's how we ended up with 297. I know it's like a very specific number, but I think that's sometimes helpful when creating goals, is to have a very specific number, reason why that's where you're heading. And that's what I have worked out. So at the end of February, I had 16,791 grams, which is 335.82. I did well over January and Feb. I finished one project and I destashed quite a bit of yarn. So I was feeling good going into March, and then I went to a yarn show, which I knew was going to happen, and I didn't really buy that much, but I still ended the month of March with 17,051 grams, which is 341.02. So up from Feb. Still down from the end of the year though, so it's a win. And I was feeling a little stressed about it at the end of March, but I'm doing better in April in terms of I'm happy with the progress I'm making, and I am just doing this for myself and, you know, to make a little bit more room in my stash and use up the things that I have. But the world is not going to end if I don't meet these goals. The other goal that I had for the year was to finish 12 projects. And right now I'm sitting at 2. I had a pair of socks that I finished. And I also finished my first sweater. I'm not mad at only finishing 2 so far. Right now I have a lot of projects that are kind of at the 40% mark at most, and so it's going to take me a little bit to finish them, but I'm hoping that then later in the year then I will sort of get a few done at the same time, because I will have worked on them up until that point, and then hopefully they should all sort of come together around the same time. So that's everything I want to talk about for the wrap up. Let's talk about goals for the second quarter. I have set 3 goals here. A de-stash goal, a project goal, and then I also thought that rather than setting specific projects that I want to finish, because that never works out for me, I would instead talk about a couple of things that I want to learn in knitting. Some of these are related to projects, some of them are just things that I would like to learn because there are so many projects that I have just kind of discounted because I don't know how to do them yet. So let's talk about de-stash first. I want to use up or de-stash 500 grams, which I'm still kind of on the fence about. I don't know if that's too much or if that's too little, because I feel like I could probably easily de-stash that if I really wanted to. But I also feel like that's kind of hard to do if I'm just knitting things up. So we're going to see how that goes. But that is 10 balls, which would bring me to 331, which would be my lowest since that first time I counted. So I am setting it there for now. We will see through these next 3 months whether that is something that actually works out to be possible, or if it turns out super easy, I might try and push myself and have a stretch goal. We'll see. Projects. I'm keeping it easy. I'm going to try and finish 2 again. Right now, I have an idea of what 2 they might be, but I'm not going to limit myself to it has to be those 2. I'm just thinking in terms of what I'm working on right now and what I'm enjoying working on. So we'll see. That could be totally different in a week or 2. So we're just gonna say 2 projects. Now for my learning goals, I have 3. These are pretty much all cast on or cast off, basically. So the first one is a cable cast on, because I have seen a couple of projects lately that use that. I have no idea what that means right now. I have only ever learned how to do the long tail cast on. That is what my nana taught me when I was a kid, and that's what I feel comfortable with. And right now, every time I do a pattern, that's what I do, no matter what it says, how it says to cast on. And if that cast on method doesn't work, I don't do the project. So I want to slowly learn a few more, and I thought that a cable cast on would be a good place to start because it happened to be one that I've seen a lot lately. I also want to learn how to do I-cord. This kind of terrifies me because in my mind it's kind of like crochet adjacent, and I'd love to learn how to crochet, but I don't foresee myself being able to do that right now and for a while. I don't know. I've been talking to some friends who are crocheters, and they're all like, I'm terrified of knitting. I don't understand the 2 needles thing. And I'm like, I don't understand the 1 hook thing. That's just kind of scary to me. So kind of nervous about the I-cord, but again, quite a few projects lately that have used an I-cord for various things, like a strap, there's this really cute bag I want to make, and it has an I-cord handle, I guess. And so I'm gonna try and learn this one. When I say I'm gonna try and learn these 2, I'm gonna try and do these without a project to do them for. Like, I'm just gonna try and learn them and then use them in a project later. But I'm not going to use a project to learn them. I'm going to learn them and then I'm going to try some projects. The third one, however, is kind of the opposite. I have a project. I need to learn this to be able to continue. And that one is a join as you go sort of thing. I've shown this project before. This is a little sneak peek into what I've done in April. This is going to be my Copenhagen blanket. It uses these building block patterns from Jake Hensler. And yes, it's going to be a huge blanket. I realized about a week ago that rather than sewing them together, because I'm worried about how that might stretch the houses a little bit, and I don't know, they look kind of weird stretched, as you can kind of see there. I'm going to join as I go along the sides. I'm kind of terrified, but it's going to be fine. I have already set up how this blanket is going to work in terms of like what blocks are going where. I just need to knit them. So right now I have this one and I'm going to knit one from a different row, because I'm also trying to keep in mind that there will be different yarn that I purchase over the period that it takes me to make this blanket, and so I don't want like all of the one colors down the bottom, so I'm kind of trying to spread them out. The plan is to kind of practice that in the next 3 months. So those are most of my goals. The only other thing I want to mention is that I'm planning to also do an updated whip parade in May. I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, I have no idea what whips I actually have at the moment. But the rest of April is kind of crazy. So it's going to happen in May instead. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what I actually have, because I did rip out a bunch of projects over the last 3 months, and there are a bunch that I took off my list and decided that I didn't want to do them anymore, or I didn't want to do them right now, or the yarn that I'd bought for them wasn't going to work, or whatever. So I will be excited to see where I actually stand with my whips, and I think as well, hopefully that will give me a little bit of a push to make some progress on things before filming that. But we'll see how we go. That's everything for today though. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear how you're going with your stash busting so far this year. And I will see you all next time, which will probably be my April vlog, because as I said, April is kind of chaotic and I don't know that I'm going to have time to film anything else. But I think I have an exciting vlog for April. I think it's shaping up to be a positive one. So I will see you all then. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.